Hey everyone, I got a deck suggestion from a person in chat named LifeAlert666. As we were able to use all the Alchemy cards, I decided to pull out their deck and try it out. They did say that they needed some advice working with his deck, so I will note that there are some things that I'm nervous about. Like, the Eccentric Farmer doesn't really have a reward for the mill other than Undead Butler. Sigardian Paladin pulls out mana value 2 or less creatures from the graveyard. Because Undead Butler is exiling itself, we basically only have Cloister Gargoyles. So there is some stuff that gets me a little concerned. Acererak is being used as usually an aggressive card, but here the curve really ends at... It's 2.7, it's actually pretty high for... It's a mid-range deck instead of an aggressive deck. But I want to try it as is. I want to actually play it to see what the issues are. I did put the sideboard sub-cards I had as consideration of how we could shift this deck around, but we're going to play it as is. Land base is pretty... Already found one. If we don't care about the cost of this deck, if you're a Alchemy deck, you should be running 4 Forsaken Crossroads. And what's our last land? There we go. Alright, because yeah, 4 Forsaken Crossroads is an Alchemy only land. But understand, the more colors you have, the better this is at mana fixing. The fact that you could come and play as an untapped land like all of these, if you go second, is great. The fact that Scry's 1 is already good enough because it helps you fill your deck, especially with these more mid-range decks where you have a 2-drop as your first play. If you start with a Forsaken Crossroads, you could scry the first turn and fix everything up for yourself. So Forsaken Crossroads is an immediate addition. That is very much a theme of, do you have the rare cards for it? For now, we are just working as is. If Life Alert wants to make this more purchasable friendly, we can shift it around that way, but otherwise, we are just working with what we've got, and we're just figuring it out. So we'll play it now. We go first. We have green, black, white. Alright. So here's example. I'm going to play the Forsaken Crossroads on black, use this white later. Black. Barrowin is our 4-drop. Let's go to Venture, and then Nadar's going to make sure we're done with the dungeon pretty soon. I will say I'm already kind of saddened by the fact that our first Venture is going to be at Nadar, so it might be a little too slow. Alright. There's Acererak. There's the Cloister Gargoyle. Alright. I'm trying to think if how quickly I can complete the dungeon, and the answer is not fast enough. Next turn is Nadar, hands down. I don't really have a choice, as far as I care. Alright, puts another Undead Butler in there. Alright. With all these Cloister Gargoyles, I am somewhat considering just getting the Cloister Gargoyle now, but I think, as is, we should stay the course. Nadar, we want the Cloister Gargoyles to have attack power, which means we actually need to finish it off. Alright. Alright, I have the plan. We're gonna go here, and we're gonna use the storeroom next turn to solve the situation, to basically put a +1/+1 counter on the Cloister Gargoyle, so it can block effectively. Alright. It does mean that Acererak's not going to be active for quite some time, but that's okay. We do need to stop these Wind Robbers mills, because we don't really have rewards for all those cards at our grave. Alright, we're facing a mill deck. We're facing just a raw mill deck. Alright, I'm going to start by attacking. Could finish the dungeon turn 4, something like that. I didn't know that this deck was going to be a mill deck specifically, So I was not preparing for that. I just realized I messed up. I want to Fate's Reversal so that I could put the Cloister Gargoyle, to put a plus spell counter on the Cloister Gargoyle. But I messed up. Oh well. I'm going to submit there. Build a wide threat board. Now Cloister. Yeah, I could have Fate to the Dungeon turn 4. I thought they were actually the Rogues deck with probably, with ninjas. So I was preparing for that and did not actually go to Tomb of Annihilation. Alright, we need double white for Guardian, so let's get that ready. Whoever I have on top is getting milled anyways. So we keep it on top. They think, ooh, I need to get rid of that card. And it's just a land. And they let me have it, then they're not milling, which is also a positive for us. We can bring back the Undead Butler. And that's it for the Sigardian Savior. Alright. But we have a 4/4 flyer now. I just realized, ooh, they had to bleed it dry, exiling it, so I can't even use it. Do we even want to block a draw card? Alright. They milled the land. I feel good about that. Alright, now we go into Tomb of Annihilation, because they're not killing us with damage anyways. And Acererak, we want to use Acererak once, how do I say this? Once we complete the dungeon, because using it prematurely doesn't really help us much. I will grab another green, because I don't think there's anything in our deck that's double black. Sacrifice a creature. Discard a card, sacrifice a creature, artifact, and land. We discard the Sigardian Savior. Actually, I think I just want them to lose... I want them to discard cards or lose life. And we can lose life happily. Like, I think that's actually a better reward for us. Alright. So I'm actually going to keep this on top, because we want to make sure the more costly cards are on the top of our deck in case of Tasha's Hideous Laughter. Alright. Poison Cups. Alright. And our 2-drops are still just Undead Butler. So yeah, Sigardian Savior being unplayable is definitely a signal that there's an issue here. Alright. Force them to probably sacrifice a land. And yeah, I'm always good losing life because they're not killing me that way anyways. Playing Barrowin is more of a threat than Acererak, which just bounces itself because of the way it works. Alright. Yeah, we need at least one more 2-drop in this deck. Alright. And then we complete the dungeon so we could actually play Acererak. So, the change to make Acererak good, it should have been, when it enters the battlefield, you venture, and then if you haven't completed Tomb of Annihilation, you return it to your hand. It should venture every time. When it enters the battlefield, it should immediately venture. The fact that it's either a 3-mana 5/5 or it ventures, and the fact that you needed to go through so many hoops already, I will state that Acererak is not the best. We're going to edit this down. The very creator of this deck suggested that we needed more 2-drops. So, in our options, we have... how's Veteran... Do you want to try out the Veteran Ghoul Caller approach? So my idea is we will rip out the Eccentric Farmers, or the Bereaved Survivors. Yeah, Eccentric Farmers. And we're going to put in more Veteran Ghoul Callers, or Dungeon Crawlers. Which one do you think How about we do a little of each? We'll do... I tried the Survivor. The Brief Survivor. I think they felt slow. Okay. Let's pull out the Brief Survivor. I'm going to put this in the sideboard so we don't lose it. And then I'm going to throw out the rest. Throw ourselves another Veteran Goal Caller. I'm going to go to the full 3 and... Shouldn't have lost it. We'll leave that in the sideboard for should we end up using that later. But we're going to try out Veteran Goal Caller because we have, with Barrowin, like 12 effects to breed back creatures. Oh, also the Sigarden breeds them right back to play, but still a similar effect. This will increase our value. I will state bringing back a... how do I say it? Bringing back a legendary creature to our hand isn't the most significant thing, since multiple copies of a legendary don't really help us, but... Alright, we go first. So this is one of the dangers of having a double green, is that we have to, like playing Varus. If we play Varus, playing Barrowin is going to be really hard. I think we keep it, but I need to put this on green. And then we kind of have to just pray that thieves work their way out land-wise. And we might just keep that because that helps us do just that. Yeah, I'm keeping the land because it's going to solve our land issues here. Definitely feel like the Varus splash. If it's just Varus, not Eliwick, not any other green cards, I find the splash a little hard to justify. It's a very good card. Like, no denying it, this is a very strong card. This makes it, if your Venture deck is green, this makes it. It's just a question of, oh, the Farmer as well, right. Alright, well, we'll leave it in for now. See how it fares. Alright, we are going first, so we have the tempo on our opponent, despite starting on turn 3. So, should be alright. We'll have a moment to see if we're the aggressor, and therefore head straight into... Alright. So they are a life gain deck. I might just want to go to 2-mana Annihilation to keep their life low. Alright. I will trade with the Clerics of Life spawned, because we have another Varus we can just play right after. So we are just missing our white, which is right there. Alright. Giving them some tough options. Because, yeah, if they play another card to gain this theme life to a 3/3, they trade with this, but they don't realize that that's a positive as far as I care. I have a feeling they're playing the old rogue. There's a deck with... There's a 4-mana card. Yep, Glasspool Mimic. That's what I was expecting to see. There's a Glasspool Mimic combo that doesn't work anymore. That used to work. If they don't attack, I'm going for value. If they do attack, I'm blocking. Don't need more of those. Alright. So I think to be mana efficient, I'm going to Fate's Reversal to bring it back and Venture. I'm going to make sure they can't use Righteous Valkyrie to get themselves all the health they want. Alright. If I get one more land, I could Cloister into another Varus or something of that nature. If I don't, I could Barrowin. We figure it out as we go. Alright. So yeah, the idea of this deck is there's a 4-drop that if you have enough 3-mana drops, it like has a bunch of... All I can really say is it has a bunch of value, and they snowball it, as seen here. Alright, Skyclave Cleric. They attack with 4/4. This one I'm taking, because this trade is not positive for me. Alright. Alright, this is another black. We'll start with Cloister Gargoyle. Yeah, we'd have to sacrifice the Varus, so no. We're gonna lose 2 life. We're gonna lose 2 more life. And this is why Acerak should have been the other way around, because then we could play Acerak, and we'd actually have a 5-5, and this would be a threatening position for all the cost of playing Acerak. There we are. We are now active, and we kept them low enough on health that we could still pressure this board. We have a 4-4 Death Toucher. We're about to have a 5-5 that... Yeah, Acerak just having 5 health, no haste, no menace, no... Will his effect still trigger? No. So it would venture to the dungeon. Okay, so it would venture to the dungeon. That trigger was already on the stack. That's what would have sacrificed him. So it still would have triggered. We would not have gone a wolf. And I just don't think that was... I don't think it would be worth it. Not for 2. We would also have to sacrifice a land. We'd have to discard a card. I was not going to spend that much resources. It would have left... It would have allowed us to have Acerak in play right now. That is a theme that I missed out on through that play. None of these creatures are big enough to work with Aura. This one can allow me to keep flying in for power. This thing has Death Touch? Yep. We have a second Varus in our hand anyways, though, right? Yep. Alright. So I think I play this, because it allows me to tap with everything and just wreck their face in. It might have been the correct answer. You are correct, Life Alert. It could have been the straight-up correct answer, but... I do not regret my decision. Not yet, anyways. I'll leave Varus home, I think. I think they have to block this. I think we're applying so much pressure, they just have to block. Yep, okay. And they're planning to get back their Cleric of Black spawned. This thing is now going to be a 4-4, but this thing's just going to stick as a 2-2, and they're not getting health off of that effect. They're still in a high-pressure situation. We take 4 damage. We continue venturing. We probably just barrow in to get our venture completed again. Yeah, this is the problem. Acerak just was a 3-mana venture to the dungeon right now. Unless we're being very... Like, Acerak is just... The fact that you have to complete the dungeon to play a 5-5 that does nothing immediately on board makes this card bad in a really unfortunate way. And I'm sorry, Acerak. I don't mean to offend you, but it's true. You know. Alright, so this is what the deck's built around. Quizzer Captain, they need 20 cards that cost 3 or less that are creatures. And so the idea is their entire deck is creatures like Righteous Valkyrie and such. I could have played if I went the right path. You are correct. You are correct. I could have played Acerak, but I would have sacrificed a lot of resources. I'm not sure it would have been worth it, because they're getting 6/6s and all these other big bodies. Alright. If they attack with Hollow Priest... Alright. I can block the Clerics of Life spawned. Kill that. And then... I mean, I have to block. We're going to kill if we block. I can Acerak. Let's see, where are we? Alright, so I can play Barrowin. Sack a land. Okay, got it. So I want to sack the tapped black when I'm done here. sack the tapped land. This comes to play. Ventures. We get our 4/4 black God of Death. So the God of Death gets to kill a Hollow Priest. Cloister Gargoyle has to block the Righteous Valkyrie right now, because their Varus can't even attack in right now. Alright. Yeah, the problem is, like, right now, as you can see, we haven't found an opportunity to play Acerak. Acerak. We'll try it next time, but this card just... The amount of... This is not a 3-mana card, is basically the main issue with it. Like, playing on 3 mana is so horribly daunting. And the I'm gonna withhold my reservations of Acerak until we get to play them once, and we get to see if the issues come up. So now I can block the right... If they have a kill spell, I'm dead. They have a kill spell. Oh, wait! Varus has reach. Thank you, Varus, for having reach. Perfect. And they kill the one I have a duplicate of in my hand. You can summon an Acerak with a 4-mana card if he's in the graveyard. Nope, he enters the battlefield, and that effect immediately happens, and he returns to your hand and ventures into the dungeon. If he's in the graveyard and the dungeon is complete, then yes, but otherwise... Alright. So I am at a complete dungeon right now. So, let's see. I'm going to play Varus. Attack with these two. Barrowin is kind of suiciding themselves. Alright, we're just going to have Barrowin suicide themselves, I think. Because this is valuable enough. I can't Tomb of Annihilation because I can't take the life loss. So I think I just lost mine at this point. I do kind of sacrifice the Barrowin, but I kind of threaten a kill spell. Need that little 2/1 that the first strike dude in here? That's what I think as well. I think that is... You know what? Why did we put the Gravecaller instead of that guy in? Yeah, we're going to switch those out. But first, we have a game in our on our hands. I'm not going to get rid of... For now, we're going to see how the splash works. I mean, we were able to play Varus. It didn't stop us from playing our other cards. So, for now, we can maintain the green splash. But in the future, that is a consideration, Sean. Alright. But yeah, I think we put in the Veteran Ghoul Caller, and that should have just been the Triumphant Adventurer. Alright. Cloister Gargoyle still blocks the Righteous Valkyrie. Alright, here we go. Now I play Acerak properly. And we'll be trying that out next turn. I am leaving my Cloister Gargoyles up because the Righteous Valkyrie will stop with the kill. If they have one kill spell, Righteous Valkyrie kills me. Even if I get the swing back for lethal, it doesn't work right now. Yeah, 3-color decks are just straight tough to run standard. That is straight correct. That being said, this is not standard, this is Alchemy. We have Forsaken Crossroads. We do have options. Alright, creature gets -4, -0. So now, even if they have the kill spell, this will not this will not win them the game. 2, 3, 4. I have plenty of blockers. If this attacks, it just dies there. So we're going to bring them to 2. And then next turn, hopefully, threaten lethal. Alright, we still threaten lethal. And now we don't even have to deal with the Righteous Valkyrie. We do have to deal with the Cleric of Life spawn, but it's not as big of an issue. Even if they kill Nadar, the 2 Cloister Gargoyles threaten lethal, so they need to kill the Cloister Gargoyles. Barrow currently brings back nothing, but it can bring back the Nadar should they do something about it. Yeah. I'm glad the Righteous Valkyrie is dead, because that's stopping them from gaining enough health to get back to make this unstoppable in this game. Alright, Spellbinder reveals that I have a land and does nothing else. I'm still threatening lethal with a double attack. They can bring back nothing with the elite Spellbinder sacrifice. So we do not respect it. If they attack, block and kill, and depending on how they do the blocks, I can just use Barrowwind to attack and get it back. Alright. Yeah, Veteran Groundcaller was not the correct choice. Nonetheless, this threatens lethal, so they have to block with their flyer. I don't know if there's a discard effect, but I'm keeping that up anyways. We are just threatening lethal slowly and surely thanks to Cloister Gargoyles and Nadar. Because if they kill Nadar, Barrowwind brings it back as long as they don't Vanishing Verse it. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That was the correct move. I think that was the correct move from them, though. Do they have a 5-drop? If they have an Angel of Destiny, this was a fantastic play. If they do not have an Angel of Destiny, they might have just killed themselves. Some of these decks do not run 5-drops. Just straight out. So if they do not have a target for Aura, they just ruin themselves. But I've played this deck before. I once ran Angels of Destiny to help out with that side. This isn't good game, but it's game darn up there. That's why. Alright, I'm going to attack with Acerak, knowing that I will get it back. Alright, we'll get the zombie. And then I get to play Acerak afterwards. It's Acerak, I know. It's just. Alright. Guess who just realized they killed themselves? Oh, thank God. So I just realized they're at 9 health, not 8. So if they just don't block with the Righteous Valkyrie, we kill ourselves. So we actually just end turn, threatening that we have an answer to Righteous Valkyrie. Because yet Pyre of Heroes allowed them to get the resources they needed. Playing Acerak would not have given us another venture, so we were just in a bad spot. We cannot block the Righteous Valkyrie, we lose the game off of that 2 damage. In case anyone's wondering why I just conceded there. Alright. We held our own pretty well. Perhaps playing the Acerak early could have worked. But, yeah, exactly, it happens. It was my personal mistake. I'm happy to hear that. We're going to put that Veteran Goldcaller back. And we're going to bring in the Triumphant Adventure instead. I don't like having these stuck in my hand, so I'm knocking this legendary down to 3 and putting a 4th Triumphant Adventure in. That is just a decision I'm making. I know that I want to play the deck as Life Alert wants it to be played, but I am not very high on Acerak. Acerak seems like it's several knobs too flawed. And we cannot play this hand because we have no black, and all our early game is black. Alright, we have a white into a black. And this Varus is unplayable. Okay, we are starting to see the weaknesses of having these color combinations. Alright. I want to play the Forsaken Crossroads on green, in case we get Varus. So I'm just not playing the Forsaken Crossroads, so we're not scrying yet. Alright, we're facing another Clerics. Alright, Triumphant Adventure. We'll see how this fares this time. Yep. Black-White Clerics, so in case you're wondering, Black-White Clerics is a solid deck that's easy to build and pretty cheap as well. So people generally play a lot of Black-White Clerics. Thing is, they might be more aggressive than we are, so this might not even be the best dungeon to go into. That being said, this Eccentric Farmer being a 2-3 is actually good enough here. I have enough green. I think throwing them with Iganjo is fantastic. So yeah, I will say Eccentric Farmer with these spell lands are pretty good, but I'm not sure if we could just justify being in green just for that, is basically the issue. There is a lot of... We could go into more self-mill direction, but we need to actively decide that. I think one of the things is, yeah, with this deck, we need to decide which direction we are going in. Self-mill, mid-range ventures, or aggro ventures. Because there's a route in each of those, but they can't all work together. Well, they were just main decking environmental sciences. Okay. The mill's there to put Acerak to the graveyard and have him pulled by Barrowin. I mean, look. In Tomb of Annihilation, we're already discarding a card. If we need to get Acerak in the graveyard, discarding a card here, discarding a card here. If we want to use that, we already have solutions. Alright, so here's my plan. We're playing this. We're going to put it on green, but we're going to scry and then sacrifice the land to get the Oubliette triggered. Fate's Reversal. We don't need that. Alright, now I can't do that because if I... Alright, so I'm attacking. If I sacrifice a creature, an artifact, and a land, then I don't have the plays with, yeah, I just don't have plays. I have to go this way now, because they exiled that creature, actually. Yeah, I don't need this many lands, though. Even if black is a good land. And I'm gonna save Iganjo to kill a Luminarch Aspirant if they try attacking. Oof. I mean, they see Iganjo in my hand. They know that's not going to work. Okay, that one will work. Alright, so we're going to start with Eccentric Farmer. Bring back a Gonjo again. Actually, that's pretty cool. Okay, that's actually pretty cool. They were scared of the Eccentric Farmer before. Let's bring it back. And this time, I'm just going to lose 2 life. Well, here's the thing. Precipitous Drop is good even in aggro, because it kills all of their creatures that they'd want to block with. Like, you can be aggro and still play Precipitous Drop, so... I think even if we run it, we're not, like, in trouble. Their unwillingness to sacrifice 2 health. I mean, I respect it. Also, you're a fool. Aggro is all creatures. No, I mean, there's been aggro burns. There have been aggro burn decks. Aggro just means that you win quickly, that your curve probably tops at like 3 mana or so. It does not mean that you're all creatures. In fact, plenty of aggro decks of the past have had, like, very few creatures. Just, like, quick 1-drops, and then the rest of it is just value cards, basically. I think we just go back and do them. Yeah, exactly. I saw no good way for them to block this. Okay. Yeah. Yep. I know it stands for... Yeah, I know it was obvious, but I'm saying that, like... aggro creature decks, the reason we believe that you probably believe that, is Throne of Eldraine had an aggro deck that was only creatures. But like cards like Shock and Royal Eruption and all of those cards are generally what's seen in aggro decks. Yep, and this is why I kept aggressing him, because Righteous Valkyrie is going to start accruing a ton of value. So I still have a white up, so I can still do the Gonjo loop. Alright, that's exactly what I wanted to see. Alright, so I ventured to the dungeon. Don't lose more health. Health is a resource. And we're going to get Nadar. Unfortunately, we have to keep that one. Let's see how they respond. They know we have a Gonjo. They may not realize that costs us a single white mana to activate. Haste would also be used in an aggro deck. Yes, yes. Creature decks can be aggro decks, but aggro is like... There have been aggro decks that are just like Lava Spikes, Shocks, and those sort of cards. Alright. So we tempoed them out there, and the Eccentric Farmers actually pulled a lot of work there. Surprisingly, those Eccentric Farmers did a lot of work here. So, definitely if rares are not an issue, I do like Triumphant Adventure a lot. Yeah, I think the Sigarian Savior is probably the weak link in this deck right now, but we're gonna keep playing for now. I think, a lot of considerations I have to think about. Aggro basically just defines a win condition. Alright, opponent goes first. We have one playable. We have like 2 playables. I'm going to actually throw that back. Alright, so here's one of the challenges of this kind of deck. We cannot play Triumphant Adventure on 2 and Varus on 3. It is impossible. Right. Usually doesn't have removal, mostly damage and haste creatures. Yeah, no, I love the conversation. Please, keep talking. But generally, aggro just is defining a win condition. It doesn't... It only interacts with a board enough that... Okay, that's funny. That was actually kind of cool. But aggro basically is built to just interact with the board enough to stop them from Basically, your job is to stop them from stopping you from going face. That's how you would define... That's how I define aggro. That being said, we are facing the aggro deck ourselves, and Eccentric Farmer missed. Oh boy. I mean, they're the aggro deck, so I don't want to go into Tomb of Annihilation. Yeah, the problem is, they seem to, with Reinforced Ronin and High-Speed Hoverback, I'm assuming they want to be very aggressive. So going to Tomb of Annihilation, losing out on my resources, would be an issue. Oh, tempo deck, yeah. Oh my god, was I just describing a tempo deck? Also, what the heck? This is... Why are you running such an aggressive deck and then Cosmos Elixir? They're literally trying to throw me off, and that's it. Alright, so I have to go 3 green for Varus, and now we don't have the black for double up here. I'm going to take the treasure token so I can double play next turn. Oh! I can double play this turn. Why don't I force Tomb? I am not forcing Tomb because they played Reinforced Ronin into High-Speed Hoverbike, and they would generally kill me much faster than I could kill them. Then they played Cosmos Elixir. Alright. Undead Butler, draw a card, get my Wolfie. And now we'll go in Tomb, since it seems like they are a very different deck than they claimed to be. Alright, now we go in Tomb. And since we can finish Tomb with next attack, we are going to go the short route. That's already triggered. Alright. We're gonna just end the turn here. We'll use this to trigger next time. Yeah. So, In Search of Greatness is good if you're, if Scrying 1 is valuable in the deck, or if you have just such, like, the pristine curve. I guess the Cosmos Elixir, the attempt is to try to get said pristine curve, but they faltered. And I punish. This deck just doesn't have a game plan. That's all I can... This deck does not seem like it has a game plan. It's literally just cards. Cards that they like. Because Cosmos Elixir is legit, but not for this kind of deck. Why did they not crew it with Prosperous Innkeeper? Leave the battlefield. Oh, that's cool. That's actually pretty cool. Great idea, splash of blue instead of green for that gold creature. Venture twice. Alright. might sacrifice Undead Butler. I could bring back Bo1, but I can't play it. We're gonna climb for now. Alright, 4/4, that touch. Alright. So I probably am gonna go into a different dungeon here, because we have that ready, and, we now just kind of want to apply board pressure, because we already have the Cradle of the Dead God triggered. We're going to be finishing in another dungeon before they do anything to stop us. So I'm going to leave this on top because I'm going to play Undead Butler. I don't want to lose too many good cards. Alright. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, maybe that was a mistake, because they should have... Yeah. I just realized that was a mistake, because I'm bringing them to, like, 2 this turn, so they would have had to discard a card. Or use the Oni Cult Anvil to sacrifice. So I actually should have gone... I was just afraid because we were getting to 12 health, and I just thought that would just keep escalating as we go. But yeah, they'd be at 2 health. I'm gonna play it still. Health is a resource, Kappa. Yep. I do agree with the statement. I didn't know how much of the resource we had left. Alright. Well, they need to Doomscar us in their green-red deck. Alright. So yeah, there you see the problem with Farmer sometimes. If you don't have the graveyard already covered, the milling a land can miss, and it's just a 3-mana 2/3. If the goal of the Farmer is to put Acerak in the graveyard, the discarding effect from going through the tomb is good enough. I do like the idea of bringing Acerak through the grave to cheat it out, but it doesn't cheat past the effect of the hard enter the battlefield effects. And we have to throw back this hand because our first play is on turn 3. Here we are. Alright. One, 2. We can't get Acerak in time. I'd rather just Eccentric Farmer and go for some bin strat. Alright. Playing this on white first. Alright. So this time, even if they're the aggressive deck, I'm still going to go into Tomb of Annihilation. Because... Why did I have to say it out loud? But yeah, this is generally a hyper-aggressive deck. And I can't block this creature, even with Eccentric Farmer. And they could turn into as much as a 5/5 on turns. Okay, maybe it's not a hyper-aggressive deck. Maybe it's just a landfall deck that they threw together. When you see... There are some cards that you see and you just question. You just question why they're in the deck. Reclaim the Lane Waste is one of those cards. It does... Unless the dungeon completed is specifically Tomb of Annihilation. Alright. Life Alert, I really want to go into Lost Mine of Phandelver. But if you want me to go into Tomb of Annihilation, I will. Because Lost Mine of Phandelver will guarantee that we could get a land near the top for Eccentric Farmer. And it will make sure we don't die to the aggression they're pulling on us. Up to me? Okay, we're going Lost Mine. We'll go into the other one later. We want a land on top, which is where it is. Good. Eccentric Farmer can block a Coon Pound. The cone pen. That's what blocks. Yes. Just guarantee there's a land in there. Grab Boseiju, because Boseiju is cool. And it's also forced if I need it. I should have grabbed the plane so I could double Chorister Gargoyle next turn, and I would have flipped it already. Alright. So I can't block the 3-3, but I can block the 2-3. I can block the 4-5. Alright. Ooh, new plan. New plan. Alright. So Chorister Gargoyle. Used to generate a treasure. So instead of generating a creature, I'm going to generate a treasure token. Mulch instead of a farmer. The 2-3 body is honestly significant. Now we can use this treasure to play the other Cloister Gargoyle. I will then -4 down the Brush Fire Elemental, so they won't be able to attack with it next turn. Now I draw a card. The Chorister Gargoyles are now 3/3 flyers. Punished slightly. Somewhat significantly, actually. There we are. Brushfire cannot really attack. Ukum Hellhound will get double blocked and killed. And then I can play Barrowin. Oof. Alright. Alright, so they just have lands in their hand. But they haven't resolved these lands to anything of value, is the main issue. They just have a lot of forests. Alright. Alright. Again, they are the aggressor. I'm going into Dungeon of the Mad Mage. We will get through this. I promise you. But yeah, this is generally why Acererak is a problem, because if your opponent is more aggressive than you, you have to abandon the post, and Acererak has no solution to that. It's just a 3-mana looping effect. We have enough mill. We do not need the 1-2. I'm going to Branch Loft so we can threaten Boseiju. Alright. Thing is, these Reclaim and Lace put lands in their hand, but they don't have a way to develop them onto the board. And as long as they don't have a way to develop them onto the board, 4 lands in your hand don't do much. There's an elemental that's like a 7-drop that they might be playing for. But that's the only thing I could think of. Alright, I'm going to start with Eccentric Farmer. I'm going to tap like that, because we have another black if I need it. Alright. Oh, target creature can't attack me. I didn't even realize I was getting that one. Alright, but yeah, now we're just basically locking them down, and we are the control deck because my opponent is such the aggressive deck. And the ability to switch like this using Ventures is what makes Venturing powerful. And it's why I feel like Acererak is limited in an additional way. What?! I didn't bring back my creature somehow. Well, that was unfortunate, to say the least. I think we still win. I think we still win anyways, but that was sad. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven. So they might have that creature now, but they can't play it. And this guy's lethal. So now they have to start blocking or doing something other than just playing lands and taking their turn. Because that's all they've been doing this entire game. Ooh, okay. Cloister Gargoyle. And we want this milled, which we can do pretty soon. Oh, we're going to do it right now, actually. In fact. Yep, now I have to block to survive. Alright, I think we kind of... Unless something significant... Oh, that was kind of significant, actually. That was actually kind of significant. Roaring Earth. Alright, but... You still can't play your lands fast enough. Uh, 3-3-3-4. We'll block to make sure nothing out of hand happens. But that's the only reason. We're threatening lethal with all these creatures, so let's just make sure they don't threaten it back. Yep. But yeah, the ability to control out your opponent is why... Like, Venture's forced to go into Tomb of Annihilation is the reason why Acererak has some issues. If you do want to build around Acererak, you have to go so hyper aggro that even when your opponent's the aggro deck, it's still better for you to go aggro. That's a very hard buy. Sigurd and Savior does not work with Acererak. Like, these two cards cannot exist. If they exist in the same deck at the very least, I think these, Fate's Reversal being 1 mana, I think makes it good enough. But Undead Butler, you just rather play something like Dungeon Crawler and just get creatures that are going to die quickly and then just move forward. Gain graveyard value? I just have no faith in this Sigardian Savior. Being that it's a 5-mana 3/3 that just brings out 2-drops. Like, Barrowin is doing the same thing this is, except Barrowin is doing it recursively, and this card is asking for more. So, if I were to build this deck... Yeah. The few times it's come in hand, I've had to discard it. So I think that's pulled. I guess I should have put it in my sideboard because we're still looking at this deck. What about Inquisitor Captain? How many... Okay, so hold up. How many creatures do we have? 28. And only 3 of them? Okay. I like that. That's a good switch. That's a good switch. This, even if it pulls Acererak, like, this might pull Acererak, which could be a weakness. If we go Inquisitor Captain, we want to have a full 4 of. I think this deck is strong enough on the curve we can actually knock down a land each. Because, yeah, now that brings it to 24 lands. Yeah, definitely could do that knockoff. Alright, let's try Inquisitor Captain here. I think that's a good pick. That's a really good pick. Yeah, I think if your deck can play Inquisitor Captain as its top end, it should play Inquisitor Captain as its top end. And Acererak actually does work in that. I think Acererak in an Inquisitor Captain deck is a good way to start going about this. Alright. Black, white, green. Opponent goes first, which is unfortunate, but we're going to carry on. Opponent going first actually kind of hurts. Having no 1-drops for a more aggressive deck is also a bit painful. Alright, so we have a discard being one of the Aceraks. Oh, wrong one. Okay, so lose 1 life, discard a card, sacrifice a creature, an artifact, and a land. The land might be 1 space too expensive. Alright, so we can play Forsaken Crossroads tapped. Attack with it. So we can attack with this, play Forsaken Crossroads to scry, Cloister Gargoyle, venture to the dungeon, sacrificing Cloister Gargoyle and the land. And now we can't. Okay. Okay. If they exploit with School Scab, they're making a mistake. Just straight out. Alright. Let's get a green and scry. Alright. I will try to do Tomb of Annihilation because we have double Acererak, so we kind of have to. Cloister Gargoyle, being an artifact creature itself, will probably have to be sacrificed as the creature to prevent us from having an artifact to sacrifice. So... you can just call him Archlich if you think that's easier. I'm just calling what feels right. But, yeah, this deck has more aggression than us. It's much more low to the ground because it has more 1-drops. Alright, Nadar. So I think Nadar is the correct play. But if I go into the Oubliettes, we just, yeah, we have to sacrifice Nadar. We can't get another trigger and we lose the game, basically. So I think we go to Veils of Fear, discard one of the Aceraks. I know it's not the path you want me to take, but I think it's the path. And that will allow us to complete the dungeon despite that move. I like that. So now I can play Barrowin, venture to the dungeon, attack with Nadar, get the 4/4, Death Toucher, and then Acererak is playable. Alright. Now this is a smart exploit. Problem is we don't have a kill for the Champion of the Perished. Alright. So that Champion of the Perished is going to be a severe issue in our side. Because we have to block it next turn, we can't block it this turn. So this is why removal is good in an aggressive deck, because it stops you from the other person from applying counter pressure. Right. Play a Acererak. Yeah, I can't even finish this. I think I have to sacrifice a land. Yeah, I have to sacrifice the land to survive. And I think we just lost. We use the 0-3 to block the 5-5. The 3-3 blocks the 2-2. One of the 2-2s, if we can. If they take out our blocker, we're dead. Yeah, if they take out one blocker, if they have another kill spell, which they already have shown 2. Yeah. Yeah. Champion of the Parish gained the early snowball rolling. Was very valuable for them. Alright. I have to block the 3-2 or the 0-3. Could block like that. Okay. I think this is the way I get the tempo back to win this game. And then they just meet hook for 2 and I lose. If they meet hook for 2, this game was never going to be won anyways. Because they had just the right cards in the right time. Alright. So. We play a Sararak. I know the dungeon's not complete. That's okay. But we venture to the dungeon and we do complete it. And this is what I'd say. This one turn, not getting a Sararak here, really hurts. But we have a solution. You see? The Sarak's in our bin, as well as Nadar. So now I attack with Bo1. You decide. Do I want a Nadar or a Sarak? Is basically the big question. I actually think we're at that corner where I need to play Nadar. I need to grab Nadar instead of the other and go into Dungeon of the Mad Mage just to gain 1 life. I think we are that close to the ledge. Alright. Now we have a Death Toucher for the 5-5. We will have to bring back the Gargoyle to deal with the Abomination. I'm assuming this is where they play a card to sacrifice and kill one of my creatures. And then just call it game. Yep. Yeah, I have to block all the creatures, and I don't have enough blockers. Yep. What? Well, we're dead anyways. Because they got 6 damage through Falcon Abomination. Yep. Unfortunately, one of the big problems with this deck is that if you're just trying to tempo on board, there's other decks that could tempo on it faster, exhibited there. I don't like the Undead Butlers. Just straight out, these Undead Butlers haven't been cutting it for me. The Citric Farmers have shown that they can pull their weight, but the Undead Butlers have not. I would rather have either Dungeon Crawlers or... If we want to go aggressive, Dungeon Crawlers, otherwise Precipitous Drop could work. 28 creatures. We'll try the Dungeon Crawlers for a little bit. Get myself a 1-drop that I can actually use to contend against those decks, as well as apply aggression when I need to. Or just discard for Oubliettes and such. Alright. I don't want to do too many more games with this. I started this as is because a person on stream wanted it, and I'm happy to help the stream, but I need to get back to my games that I was planning on playing. Alright. This is going for black. It's coming in scrying because we're not going to be able to play Barrow-in anytime soon. Alright. I didn't mean for you to play it this long. It's sorry. Hey, I chose to play it this long, okay? It's not your fault. Never blame yourself for what I do. I'm going to go with green so I can play Varus if I need to. I think we have our curve, and that will complete all our last conditions. With Forsaken Monument Crossroads? Alright, so is a tap land that can come out at any color you want. So you just choose the color when you play it, and then if you go first, you scry. Then it comes to play, and you can scry 1. Or if specifically you are going second, you can choose instead of scrying 1 to just have it come into play untapped. All right. I'm just trying to decide if I want the Varus or the Nadar first. I can trigger Varus on the turn I play them, so I'm going to go with the Nadar first. Alright. They haven't gained life yet, and as long as the Treslara isn't gaining them life, we'll be good. Alright. Inquisitor Captain next turn. So here is the power play. So, Green. Varus. Now we Dungeon Crawler. Oh, we already entered the Oubliette. Okay. So, just make sure we have no artifacts. Alright. Oubliette. We'll discard a Sararak, because we could find some reanimations. Alright, discard a card. Sacrifice a creature, an artifact, and a land. Creature. Land, I'm going to go with the green Forsaken Crossroads. Now we attack. We get Cradle of the Death God. Comes back to our hand. And now we have all the pressure. And while we do not have a Sararak, we have Inquisitor Captain, which could get a Sararak. We have Dungeon Crawler. Yeah. We have a lot of good positions that we could enter. Right now, nothing has more than 3 power, which is the main number I'm trying to avoid. So I just need to decide, do I need to scry 1 to get a land for Inquisitor Captain? Or do I just go back into Token Annihilation? Okay. Well, that solved my problem pretty quickly. Yeah, if I draw, like, Barrowin or something, this has Indestructible, so we just take the hit. Alright. With Inquisitor Captain, I say we just go for the kill. And here's Acerak. And this looks like a pretty good attack to me. So that's why Inquisitor Captain's great. Alright. They gain some health. And that last card has to be some way to interact with this board, or I think they're dead. So yeah, okay, Acerak. I will be clear, the Inquisitor Captain really did that. The Dungeon Crawler did a lot there. Acerak just came in at the end to make sure everything was good. And that's kind of the issue with Acerak. It can't be the finisher. It has to be, hey, you're done. Do you need anything else? No. Okay. Not killing Acerak. Interesting. No blocks. I kill you. Quite easily as well. Yeah, I'm just going to discard that. There you are. Game. And they even had the interaction. It just wasn't enough. Alright, that felt like a good deck. That felt good. The Inquisitor Captain, the Dungeon Crawlers as sack fodder. Like, that felt like a much better deck. And honestly, if your deck can support 3 colors, like, why not 3 colors? But yeah, I think I am gonna close it right here for now. But this actually, at the end, seemed pretty okay. I will warn you, adventure decks are not tier 1. Just straight out. No matter how you build this, it's not gonna be tier 1. That being said, we tried quite a few of these. Eliwick was not for the deck you want to play. Precipitous Drop, I'm okay with it not being here. I might replace the Fates Reversal for the Precipitous, personally, but you do you. I like the 3 Acerak, 3 Nadar, 4 Inquisitor Captain. I think this is a pretty good setup. The Eccentric Farmers, alongside Iganjo, Boseiju, and Taknuma, like, specifically Boseiju and Iganjo. Like, the recurring Iganjo was fantastic, just flat out. I think if you're running Varus, you can justify running Eccentric Farmer, and it's definitely weird. This is definitely one of the weaker cards, but it's a common slot. If you find a better play, you could pull it out later. Like, maybe the Precipitous Drop is better, but this guarantees our land drops. It gives us more resources for when Barrowin comes down. Like, I think this is good. But yeah, I think this became a better deck. The Forsaken Crossroads were... These are very important for fixing your lands in a 3-color deck. You do have to accept that Varus might not be playable in some positions. Also, a deck just around Undead Butler and Ghoul Caller is good too. Yes, but I think that's going to be just a completely different deck. Anyways, yeah, I think this deck is as set as I'm going to get it. Maybe just like 2 Precipitous Drops minus 2 Fates Reversals. But that's like... This involves a little experimentation, and all the experimentation is at the common slots. You can use these cards, like put 4 ofs here, and like minus on the rares if you don't have enough. But yeah, a different deck with those 2 cards. Yeah, definitely. I'd be down later, but I have a list of decks that I still need to play. Life Alert, hopefully this was helpful for you. Yeah, it seems it was helpful for you. Thank you very much, Life Alert. Alright, well, have a wonderful day, man. I'm going to move on to other decks, but thank you for letting me try this out.